everyone. Uh, I think more seats should fill in by the time we will start talking. Sir, thank you for coming.
My
We
pleasure.
really appreciate you taking time out and coming here. And Manvendra, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah. So there are two, three things from an industry point of view, which as an industry we always kind of really think and look at. And I think the one of the foremost thing which we in India think if we are able to solve for, we can become a global gaming superpower is skilling. How do we really kind of create talent? And what are the kind of levers of creating that talent and what could so what I wanted to understand was how is the discussion at the government level, at the policy level happens around skilling? How do you see this uh, being tackled? How do you see industry, government partnering together in that aspect? Would love to hear your views on that.
Sure. Want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, thank you very much and good afternoon, everyone. So, Manish has asked a very, very relevant question. See, I have been coming here. I mean, while you have thanked me today for being here, I'm coming here for the last 3 days as well. So, this is a very flagship event for us as well in the government because this is one industry on whom we have very high hopes. The industry will bring lots of economic vibrancy to the state, will create large number of jobs. In fact, I remember last time when I had met you, I told you about the image tower that we are developing, a 1.6 million square feet facility, which will be exclusively dedicated for this sector, the animation, gaming, VFX. And I'm happy to share with you that it is just a matter of a year. In fact, within a year, that it will be functional, up and running. And we have very high hopes that we'll be able to attract some of the global players as well to India, just because of the sheer attractiveness and the pull of that infrastructure that we are going to develop. But we are also conscious of the fact that if we want this industry to grow, if we want the biggest global players to come and operate out of India, we also need to give people to them. I mean, eventually, whatever else you do, you may offer incentives. Hyderabad is a great place otherwise as well. If you add a fantastic piece of infrastructure to it, all that is good, but it is not good enough if you don't have enough number of people. So within the government now, we feel that it is a bigger responsibility cast upon us to create that pipeline of talent. And we have been doing some very deep analysis on what it really will make India a talent powerhouse also for the gaming sector. So I'm sure all of you know this, all of you are from the industry, that the talent which is required for the gaming sector is very different from what is required, let us say, by animation or by VFX, etc., etc. And lots of industry experts who are located, for example, Sridhar is in my line of sight. I can comment on him, that he has also been giving this feedback to us. He employs close to 3,000 people in Hyderabad, that it is becoming more and more difficult to get talent. In fact, what I understood from his experience of many other gaming companies in Hyderabad is that you spend lots of time and effort and resources in retraining them. I mean, you eventually recruit some number of people because you need to have those many hands, but months are spent just to retrain, bring them up to speed, basically give them that kind of perspective. They might have studied some gaming course as well, but still they are not industry ready, so to say. They cannot be deployed on a live project right on day one. So these are some of the things that we want to attend to on a priority basis. Just as we are kind of very bullish about this sector, the national government also has kind of recognized the value of this sector. You must be aware, perhaps you are a part of it. There's a VCG task force at the national level. They have also got experts who are guiding them about skilling, etc. But some of the things that we want to do in Telangana will eventually get replicated elsewhere as well. So what we have realized after talking to the domain experts is that while academies and institutions which teach gaming as a course are good, but we need to make the education or the training or the preparation more rounded. So what we are thinking of, and if we succeed in doing this, this can become perhaps the template for everyone else to emulate. We want to work with about 30, 40 top engineering colleges here, where large number of talented students take admission. Obviously, as you know, to get into an engineering college, you have to write exams, you have to outcompete thousands and thousands of others. So obviously, there's some element of talent in those kind of people. So what we want to offer now is that, let us say I have taken admission in a college to study computer science. I must study computer science because my curriculum requires me to do that. But I'll also do a minor in gaming. Or if I'm studying electronics, I'll do a minor in gaming. If I'm doing, let us say, electrical engineering, I'll do a minor in gaming. So computer science plus gaming, electrical plus gaming, electronics plus gaming. So that is one in which you get talent which has better understanding, better sensibilities, plus they have done a full-fledged gaming course also, so they understand what the industry requires. But so this is one kind of way. The second is, of course, how do you make admissions into these kind of courses happen? I mean, it's like that phrase that you can take a horse to water, but how do you make it drink? So let us say 20 colleges offer this combination that you can study computer science with gaming. But to the prospective, uh, the candidates or the students and their parents, how do you motivate them? So we want to conduct lots of career talks, particularly in good schools here, after which they transition to colleges. So how can this be seen as a good option? And one good thing is that, let us say, many of the engineering students end up in an IT sector job. But what I again understand, which actually works to our advantage, is that the jobs are better paying, the kind of quality of work is better, and the entire creative atmosphere in a gaming company. I don't have to tell to the two of you who show all this every day, day in and day out. Obviously, the nature of the work and the work culture, etc., is very, very satisfying. So that is an advantage which we can capitalize upon. But even when we do all these things, there is one other issue which I want to really flag, and I want the industry also to take some responsibility. The two of you are leaders. I'm sure there are quite a few senior people sitting in the audience, or they are watching the live cast of this, which is the big dearth of qualified faculty. So if I want to introduce gaming courses in 50 engineering colleges, who are the people to teach those courses? And for this, we don't have complete answers right now. Some suggestions have come that lots of industry, people like you or you can send some of your best game developers to these colleges as adjunct faculty, or the industry together should run some program in which you train some of your senior staff to become trainers, and they in turn teach in the colleges and develop some faculty there. So this also is something which requires investment. And you're very correct that these are very fundamental issues. If you don't have talent, if you don't create a pipeline of talent, if you don't create resources who will nurture and train these talents, then things will just remain as they are. There won't be anything very drastic different 5 years later or 10 years later than what it is.
So, Manvendra, you have been really driving skilling since the days I have seen you, right? You have been working with CII, FICCI, everyone. What do you think has been the core issue why on-ground execution or implementation has not really moved?
You mean implementation of
How to, like what Mr.
the
Ranjan
skilling
said,
part?
Mr. Ranjan said on skilling, that until unless you have nurtured that talent, your industry will not really grow to the potential, right? And we have all spoken about it. You have got, I think, ENY and PwC. I think
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Big Four have made money on,
Right.
on skilling, right? So where do you think is the kind of, in your opinion, because you've been so closely working on it?
See, I think the biggest gap is the fact that we take skilling in this case, combine it with education, and we try and do it the same way as we do all education. Same structure, same framework, same everything. And we try and fit in what we know how education happens and just try and fit game education somewhere in that. It won't work like that. Because here we are not talking about just creating engineers or creating programmers or artists or something. We are saying they need to be aware of the industry. in most of the framework that we have, we end up teaching tools. And we feel that, okay, now we have done our job, we have taught them the tools, they'll be great people. That is where we go wrong. Number one. Number two, we say this is education, so we leave it to the academicians to manage it, to figure things out. That's where we go wrong again. What we are trying to do today, I would say, needs to have three levels of thoughts behind it. One, short term, mid term, and long term. Across all these three, it has to be the industry which has to drive it, not the academicians. I mean, this might be a strange thing to say and people may not like it, but if academicians are going to drive it, we will still be talking about it 5 years from now. If this has to go, it has to be driven by the industry.
Yeah, I think both of you are saying very similar sentiment that skilling, what kind of skilling, what kind of pedagogy, what content has to be really driven by industry, and who's going to teach them has to be driven by industry. Absolutely. And that's where I think we'll have to take a lead. And maybe, sir, we like to sit with you separately. Uh, you know that IGDC is run by industry, and Telangana could be a great experiment pot for some of us, like 15, 16 of us at least can be in one room, like-minded people who can sign things saying that yes, we are willing to really work very closely in providing our manpower, equipping them for training or doing something on content and doing all that stuff. But I think that's a worth an experiment.
See, continuing the point which Manvendra is mentioning, see, one other very big responsibility that the industry should take is to offer internships.
Yes.
See, I've seen this in a couple of other sectors, that if that exposure is given, if the exposure is given to the students on what kind of tools, so he spoke about tools, which is the current way of delivering any of the course on animation or gaming. There are some softwares which you would learn, but you don't really understand the context in which that software has to be used and how do you kind of customize it or individualize it, etc., etc. That kind of development or awareness can only happen if you work actually on some live project while you are a student. So it is actually something which will be of tremendous advantage to the industry also. Tomorrow when these students get back into the job world, you will realize that the time to orient them again has been drastically reduced. You may perhaps give them a week's orientation and straight away put them on job. So can some charter or some kind of a mandate be accepted by the industry that whatever are the colleges, of course in Telangana, in Hyderabad, there are some academies who are exclusively teaching gaming courses, but even they don't have ready partnership with the industry for sending students for, and they offer 4 years courses. So internship is not something that you give only at the very end, maybe from year one itself, you offer internships, etc.
So you talked about the fact that there are a lot of institutions which already are doing gaming courses and doing that. Now, I think that's another thing which we have to find a way of correcting. There are a lot of colleges, institutions, universities who do courses, but again, I come back to the same point that there has to be industry collaboration to decide, are they relevant? Just by doing gaming courses and at the end of it, the students get some knowledge out of it. What you rightly said, they come back and then they have to be retrained and everything. So there are two ways of looking at it. One, you rightly mentioned about the internships and things like that. Now, question would be, again, this is a practical question which any business will think of. I will take interns. Okay, let's say I sign up with these 5 universities and second year and then third year, I will take internships. Now, why should I pay for that? For people I will not use. That's a practical problem. So we have to find a way of handling that problem also. Again, it has to be a collaborative effort, but the thought has to be that, first of all, is the industry which decides what needs to be taught. And the other thing you talked about training the trainers. Now, this is somewhere where I think the industry collaboration will work the best. Because in fact, we are working with NSDC on to try and figure out a train the trainer academy. And the idea being that we create a framework where existing trainers who are already lecturers and professors, as well as new people from the production who want to get into this line, how can we upskill them so that they become good trainers? And that support of making them good trainers also means they need to have production knowledge, and that is where industry comes in.
Sir, I remember from my dad's days, there is an administrative academy. Like when young PCS IS officers go, they have an administrative academy in Missouri, right? Uh, just kind of a thought here. If there is a, and then NTPC created a power professional course in Noida. There is nothing a gaming center.
That's exactly the line on which I'm working with NSD for.
Yeah.
To create if possible, a centralized academy or a state level academy where the only job this academy has is to create good trainers.
Because if you have a place and then it's manned by people who are equipped to train, then it's a permanent.
And then that academy has to have tie-ups with the industry.
Exactly.
That your last year 6 months is with the industry. You go work there.
Yeah.
So it has to be part of the training and not above that.
And I think we could really sit and chat. Hyderabad could become that epicenter.
Yeah. No.
The amount of proactiveness that Hyderabad government and the Telangana government has shown, I think this is the perfect place for a pilot project.
No, we are always more than eager to have these kind of institutions set up in our backyard. But there's one other partnership that I'll point to, which is about international partnerships. So in the last few years, excluding those 2 years when travel was restricted, I have been to lots of institutions of global repute. I can name them if you want. I have been to Academy of Art in Los Angeles. I've been to universities in England, Salford. I've been to university in Wales, in France, in Bordeaux, and so on and so forth. And everywhere, I found that they run in their universities strong courses on animation, VFX, gaming, and many of them have shown interest that if local industry wants to partner with us, we'll be happy to send resource persons or design curriculum or take exchange students, like the student does some part here and some part there. So there's lots of willingness, but somehow we have not been able to close in on any one of them. But when the image tower becomes the 1.6 million square feet of infrastructure that I'm alluding to, once that becomes up and running, we have actually provided space in that for a world-class training academy. So possibly that also is an opportunity which the industry should really seize, because no other state is going to invest so much on infrastructure, on capacity building. So we'll be very happy to kind of discuss this.
Let's work on this. Let's work on. Moving from skilling, if there is DreamHack happening, and I was an afternoon there, the whole massive space which you have given was full of parents, kids, women. And this is the first time in my life I've seen a very diverse group of people attending a esports event, which is really, really, and that's happened because chess is one of the game which is happening there. And it used to, all my life, all esports events were very, very male dominated. But this time I was like so pleasantly surprised. It looked like more a festival than an esports event. The entire desire among people for the esports and getting entertainment and watching people playing those games is really growing and growing through the roof. I would love to understand, is there right awareness about the government that this could become a massive entertainment opportunity and community bonding opportunity, creating local heroes opportunity, if we were to create right infrastructure in different towns, cities? And how could that infrastructure be created, and what could be the right mechanism to kind of really do that, to really take this, make heroes and create that whole pride?
So absolutely correct, Manish. But let me also step back a little in time and raise a related topic. See, again, I don't know whether you had a separate panel on something which I'm about to speak or not, but this is a relevant point across panels, etc., which is about regulation. See, all of us are aware that the regulations surrounding gaming are still very kind of ambiguous. There is a understanding that shared by many states, including us. I'm not saying that we are more mature than anyone else. That confusion, that state of confusion prevails here as well. The distinctions between, let us say, money games versus non-money games, games of skill versus games of chance, plus esports. So, in nuanced understanding that, okay, some things may have to be regulated more than others, but there are certain other things which have so many advantages, like you rightly pointed out. This is a this has the potential of becoming a popular sport, as popular as perhaps, since the World Cup of cricket is happening these days, I can speak about cricket. It can become as popular as that, and you can have your own idols from amongst the esports world. So we are in the process of developing a policy and framework which makes all these distinctions. First of all, the new policy which is going to be announced shortly. We are ready with the draft. First of all, we have completely banished the thought that anything should be banned. So there is nothing like banning or prohibiting, etc. Certain things will require regulation because in the past, the pushback has typically come from the police. And they give examples like some young children got addicted or they committed some crime or unfortunately took their own lives, etc. So all that is very tragic. And you need to put methods to prevent all that happening. And even whatever is planned to be regulated, our proposal in the policy is that it should be regulated by the industry itself. It can't be policed by some kind of a policing like an institution, etc. But we are also making a distinction between things like esports, where the potentials are unlimited. And I'm glad that you are mentioning things like opportunity for the community to kind of get together, bond. And I was not aware. I did not go to DreamHack for the past 2 days because people who are escorting me, they are kind of warning me that it's like a stampede there. So go only when they call you on the last day to give some prizes and all. But I'm happy that so much of general interest is there, families are there, women are there. But definitely we need to encourage it, and we need to be very clear that it is not that we paint the entire gaming industry in one brush. Nuanced understanding is required. Some regulation is required, but esports is something which needs to be freed from every possible regulation and provide encouragement as much as you can. And there are various ways. We are in touch with some agencies who are keen to kind of bring in exactly the way you said, decentralized hubs and spoke model in which esports is popularized.
Because when I was traveling, I used to travel to Chennai a lot, 2012, 13, 14. Esports, the sense of belonging, community belonging come from physical events. And I think the only city in India which can have an event is this place, this infrastructure we are sitting. Otherwise, there's no infrastructure for us to really hold those things. And if you are able to kind of really replicate, in let's say smart cities, if I were to use that framework, and kind of really create infrastructure on those cities of esports arenas, esports viewing things, and all of that stuff, we can really, really become a, because that will feed into the first part we were talking about on skilling also. Because when the parents see the gaming very closely as involved, um, they will, the whether we like it or not, in India we have a stigma around gaming, that you play cricket, you play football, you play outdoor games. When you're playing video games, the moms and dads are not happy. That's the reality, right? And if they get involved into this whole community process and viewing, I think they will understand gaming is not bad, it's good. And then a career in gaming will at least become a possible option. It's like when I was growing up, cricket, becoming a professional cricketer was not an option. I have to either think of a doctor or an engineer. There was no other option for me. But now at least I see people taking on cricketer. So on esports bit, I think again, the amount of work which is happening, and would love to have policy.
No, no, absolutely. And the fact that it'll become an Olympic sport
Yeah.
also will be a very big
So
booster, and it'll change the perceptions quite significantly.
in,
But
India
happy
will
to
be
work
the
with the industry to look at how
correct,
we deepen the roots of esports
correct,
here.
correct. Manvind, you have led servicing and the whole servicing industry. You were the flag bearer of it. And you and I have spoken about that India could really become the huge employment generation we can generate in if we were to take servicing as a sector in gaming, particularly given that the size of global gaming market is very, very big. Can you just give some color on what are the areas where you think massive employment can be created and how, what can be done, and what could be industry looking from the government?
See, to understand that, we just look at the whole game development pipeline, right? Almost 70-75% of the effort goes in two areas: art and animation and engineering. And these are the two areas which actually generate the maximum employment. Globally, if you look at it, what is outsourced? Where is it that the players are looking for partners? Animation, art, and engineering. So these are the areas which really have the maximum potential. And these are also the areas where we have a lot of talent which just needs some direction.
What about, let's say, areas like QA
That too, yes, QA.
or let's say analytics or,
Yes,
or let's say live operation support?
all that is coming up, picking up, yes. But then if you look at the volumes and number of numbers, QA is yes. QA is a big number.
Because India can truly become then the QA factory for the world.
It is
Because
soon
we have-
becoming, it's moving in that direction.
Okay.
Because QA needs hands.
And gamers, and India has 500 million
Yep.
gamers. So if somebody enjoys the game and it can be really doing, so what could be done there to kind of really make it really big and like what Infosys did or Wipro did in IT services, or what do you think in India to become a QA, both from awareness creation and the BD for the global guys? What do you think should be done?
First and foremost, I think is what you were talking about a little while back is awareness. That gaming per se is a great career option. That awareness is missing. So we are looking at really doing a lot in the space of engineering, game engineering, and education in that space, and art and all that. And I was surprised to see. I mean, we did in Telangana also, Hyderabad. We came and we did workshops and presentations in colleges and all. It was so surprising to see that people don't even know that there is an option called game engineering. The engineers, yes, a few of them would know, but in general, even the faculty, the professors, they had no clue that game industry offers options in engineering. That was a surprise to me also. I thought, oh, this is such a general thing, everybody should know about it or would know about it. So awareness, number one. Number two, back to the first point that Sir was talking about, is that we need to establish academies which are driven by the relevant curriculum and faculty. That is something, and this approach has to go down to the colleges and not just after college. That is going to be the starting point of actually creating talent, and that's where IT talent started, where suddenly computer programming and computer science became the talking thing of everybody wanted to do that. Every college had it, but then at that point in time, again, it was industry was driving it. So colleges were partnering with industry. Everybody was trying to create programs in colleges where industry was driving it, Infosys was driving it, everybody was driving it. The similar environment has to be now created. And that is something which right now is missing. What I see, I've been very active in this space. So what I see is everybody wants to do something, but nobody knows what to do. That is where we have to come in. We have to define what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And we are trying to put our two bits in place by getting our global experts and all in here so that they can talk to the engineers. So we have a very senior technical directors coming in, just going to colleges and universities and talking to the kids. This is what you can do. This is what your future is. These are the different options you have in the gaming industry. Now that knowledge itself is so refreshing for them. Oh, this is such a great thing so we start with that. Follow it up with courses which are relevant. follow it up with driving it in a structured, in a formal way into the colleges. That is where you'll have so much talent, because we have to create talent not just for India. If you look at the global industry, globally everybody wants engineers, everybody wants artists, but they don't have them. If we do this right, we can create lakhs and lakhs of engineers who then can basically drive the global industry. And that could be a reason why we can attract global players. A point that you were mentioned, sir, in the beginning, that we have to find ways, create an environment where the global players want to come here, because this is where I'll find talent.
Yep. 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 So last I have one question, and I think that would be 14, 15 minutes we have. So there is a huge excitement around how we leverage blockchain. As a technology, it could be disrupting user behavior. It could really bring the aspects of asset ownership back to the individuals. It could really kind of liberate direct earning potentials. And in the context of Manvendra, what you said, if there is a transparent reputation of the tester or a gamer, and that could be accessed on chain, and his skill sets can really keep improving, then you're building at a global level. I just wanted to get a sense, because we don't get a lot of opportunity to hear from policymakers. How are they viewing blockchain? Because there is multiple messaging, multiple people. So just some kind of insight there on how your understanding of this is.
See, like the regulations I spoke about related to the gaming industry, blockchain also has got entangled in the issues related to crypto. And there's a big pushback from the Reserve Bank, particularly, and various other kinds of individuals and institutions also. And this confusion is seen across policy-making landscape as well. So we have also taken a very nuanced view. In fact, I can say something pretty candidly. This issue, that is, it came to our attention when we started hearing that some of the best talent which is available in the country related to Web 3.0 is actually fleeing this country. They are going to Dubai, they are going to Singapore. And one of the reasons is that there is no regulatory certainty. People are confused, or they're not very sure that if they develop their companies here, they'll not be stopped or hit or prohibited at some future point in time. So we have decided, and I actually the formal announcement of this is going to come in December in Bangalore. There is an event happening there called ETH India, where we are going to announce this. So whatever I'm saying, please kind of keep it off the record, because that thunder will be lost when we eventually announce it in Bangalore. So we are setting up a regulatory sandbox on Web 3.0. And we are, with the help of lots of institutions and experts, we are preparing an inventory of use cases on which we will run cohorts, approximately 2 cohorts every year, maybe 20 to 25 startups, entrepreneurs, innovators will be part of that cohort. And tokenization is a very important category of use cases that we are considering: real estate tokenization, art, NFT, games, etc., etc. So we have as I said, a nuanced understanding. And again, I'm very happy to share this. While the state government can provide regulatory support in some ways, lots of regulation falls in the domain of central agencies. So we have been trying to bring them also to become a part of the sandbox. And again, I'm very happy to share with you that yesterday only we got the response from the Reserve Bank of India, who have agreed to become a part of this sandbox. And the other regulators also, whom we are kind of engaging into this sandbox. So we want Web3 based games, blockchain based games, even some of these other things that you spoke about, like maintaining transparently the track record of all the gamers, etc. So we have a very impressive record of blockchain adoption in multiple government agencies. In fact, putting land records on blockchain, educational certificates on blockchain, has become very, very common. I mean, literally every state does it. We have done it 4 or 5 years ago, so we don't even talk about it. But there are certain things that we have done which people can't even dream of today using blockchain. And I'll just give you one example. Just about 9 to 10 months ago, we were able to very successfully demonstrate over a large sample, not just 5 people or 10 people or something, across about a few thousands of people, the possibility of voting from home, remote voting, and obviously blockchain and identification of the voters through facial recognition, they played a very important role. So we as a government, we are always eager to embrace emerging technologies, new technologies, pull through this regulatory uncertainty, create sandboxes, support people who are willing to do the things in the way that the whole industry benefits. So that is something which is very different and very refreshing about Telangana. Many
Very
other
nice.
states won't even be aware that such possibilities
Yeah.
of technologies are there.
In fact, to your point of, so I've recently resigned from Mazara and I'm starting a Web3 startup. Yeah, and the first question I was asked that when are you shifting to Dubai or Singapore? I said, listen, I'm not shifting to Dubai, Singapore. I'll work here, and I'm shifting to Bangalore from Mumbai, and that's what I told when I asked my mom. Her statement was, if you have to do something and go to Dubai, then what's the difference between you and Dawood Ibrahim? That was a simple, straight answer to me. I said, I have to work here, solve it, sort it out for ecosystem. I'm not going to run away.
See, I don't want to run down Bangalore, but I can't resist this opportunity also. So, since you have not yet gone to Bangalore, you still have time to rethink about it.
Correct. But happy to work in any capacity, sir, on the framework Web3. Yeah. So, guys, we have chatted, but we'd love to hear if you guys have any questions. Uh, you are sitting here attending, you have certain doubts, clarifications, or just kind of insights. Happy to kind of really take a couple of questions from the audience.
This is a question for Manvendra. I know both you and Manish are working on the with the central government on the AVCJ policy. Would you be able to talk a little bit about the highlights of what to expect at a national level? What's coming up?
I think it's a little too premature to talk about that because it's just a discussion which is happening right now, and no conclusions have been reached yet.
Sridhar, the status is that the Gaming Sub Task Force, which was under AVGC, had created a report, and that report under Mr. Vikram Sai was created with the members of AVGC guys and some of the Gaming Task Force guys, and that has been submitted to the main AVGC Council. What we have been told is that do not really kind of share the content of that report till the time it has been, let's say, reviewed and approved and all of that. So yeah, that's why Manvendra is kind of tight-lipped.
That was a very polite way of saying it.
Guys, anyone else?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, if you can just introduce yourself before you ask question. It'll be
Hello,
good.
oh, sorry. Hello, my name is Shubhankar and I'm co-founder of VR Academy. So very insightful discussion, first of all. Thank you so much for that. I was just wondering that we have talked about this future-ready skill talent pool and the policies relevant to it. But if we understand future-ready technologies, what we also see is when we see VR and technologies like AR and VR, it is something it cannot just be explained to anyone just like this or on a white paper. It is something to be experienced. So is the government also planning in to bring future-ready experience centers alongside with the private partnership? Is there a plan for it? Because if people experience it, then they know it, that something like this exists. So that's a question. Thank you.
No, you are absolutely correct. Some of the technologies, unless you experience them for yourself, you just will not be appreciate the kind of range and scope they offer. So Uh, I have been mentioning about this fantastic piece of infrastructure that will come up. Uh, I mean, if possible, I'll ask the organizers to pull a screenshot and show it to you. It's an amazing, see, all of you, I'm sure, know this, that if Hyderabad has to be written about or depicted somewhere, we use the image of Charminar. Charminar is a 400 years plus old monument, which is, of course, very important. It symbolizes the rich heritage of the city. But we are very confident that when this particular building comes up, this is called the Image Tower, this will replace Charminar as the icon of Hyderabad. So in this iconic building, we are also putting up what we call as edutainment. So there'll be entertainment, like when you experience a new technology, you feel thrilled about it, but it will also be educative. You will understand what this technology is, what are the opportunities to implement it or adopt it, and so on and so forth. So we have already spoken to a couple of companies. In fact, one company who has developed something very popular in Dubai, who has shown interest to set it up for us here. So it will be there. And completely agree with you that that is the only way in which a technology is popularized amongst potential users.
Hi, I am Ravi. So I have a question. If an entrepreneur wants to start a gaming company, especially in Web3 space in Telangana, what kind of incentives or help is available?
You asked a question which I was wanting to ask in private.
I think we all can benefit from it.
See, it's like this, that today, if you honestly ask me, there are just 4 or 5 locations where this industry is supported and encouraged. So obviously, Delhi, NCR, Gurgaon is one pocket, Pune, Bombay are 2 pockets, Bangalore is one, and then there is Hyderabad. Little bit of it is happening in Chennai as well, but other than these 5 locations, the presence of this industry is very minuscule. And if you ask me, if you look at the value proposition, I would say that Hyderabad is pretty competitive. I mean, if I could have said that it is the best, but some of you may not believe me. So let me put it this way, that it will be pretty competitive. So 3 reasons why it is so competitive. First of all, the attention that the industry as a whole, in collaboration with the government, is paying to this sector, you will not find it elsewhere. So this 1.6 million square feet infrastructure that we are developing, I mean, other states would not even dare to think that big. I mean, the boldness, the courage of this vision is exemplary. And as I said, if you actually see the pictures of what is coming up, I mean, your eyes will pop out. You won't even believe that a government in India can think on these lines. So that is one. The second is, as you heard, we are very serious about creating a very strong pipeline of talent. Others are not yet kind of understanding the importance of talent. They may say that Bangalore is a great city, people will come whether you want them or not, but at some point in time, they will realize that there is no talent to offer to people, given the kind of operational costs, the rentals, the physical discomfort of being caught in traffic and all causes. So that is more or less, it is getting taken care of here in Hyderabad. We also provide financial incentives. So let me tell you about this building, which unfortunately, I mean, it did not strike to me. I could have organized with the people to make a, yeah, there it is. Glad that it is up on the screen. So this is called the Image Tower. There are 4 towers, as you can see. They're connected by a top deck, a deck on the top. Now, some of you may not be from Hyderabad, so let me tell you a little bit. This enclave where we are sitting, this is called Cyberabad. And all the top IT companies, the ISBs, the triple ITs, this is where the entire action is. So this building is in the heart of Cyberabad. Some of you might have seen that there is the IKEA store, the first IKEA store of the country, located here. So this is bang opposite IKEA store. This piece, this building, once it is ready, in less than a year's time, roughly about 11 months or 10 and a half months, I presume that the rentals in that area would be, let us say, 100 rupees per square feet. If someone had to commercially take space in this building, they would be paying, let us say, 100 rupees. We will be offering it to gaming, VFX, animation companies at 30 rupees per square feet. So you are in the heart of the city, in the middle of Cyberabad, in a very livable city with ample talent to kind of engage with in a rich ecosystem. And your operational costs are just 30 rupees per square feet. Hyderabad, as you would have understood by now, is a very livable city. The airport experience, the commute from the airport to the city, commute within the city, the affordability of infrastructure, social infrastructure. I mean, no other city has this kind of advantages that we offer. And these kind of things are icing on the case, that you will be operating from this building. So this whole building, I mean, actually 4 buildings, so to say, is meant only for this industry. No one else will be allowed to step in. And we will heavily subsidize it, as I told you, in place of 100 rupees, we'll charge only 30 rupees. But the way we will make money is that the top deck that you see, which connects all the 4 towers, that again will be a very priced kind of thing. It will be 30 floors up. So we will be exploiting that for high-end shopping, dining, restaurants, and make our money from that. So that is the model. As I said, no other state will even be 1/10 close to what we are planning or thinking or doing here.
Thank you.
Last question. Guys, keep it short and crisp.
Hello, hi. So I'm Akshay. I also have a startup here, Web3 startup in art, sports, and the gaming space. So one question, which is more philosophical or sociological, is that gaming or this space is always seen like not looked upon by the Indian society. People still see it as a very fresh thing. So how do you change the mindset of the society in general? Because even if a student or a fresh graduate or a young entrepreneur wants to start up in this space, society kind of frowns upon those people because it's a tough space to get in to make them understand. So how can industry leaders or the government kind of bring the awareness in the society in general?
I think parents only need 2 things here: career stability and give them local education, reason for them to feel pride about their kids, right? And as an industry, if we are able to kind of achieve on both counts, then that mindset will keep on going off. And as we were discussing, in my lifetime, I've seen the perception around cricket as a career changing because there was a stability, there's money coming in, there's fame coming in. So I think we are in a very, very early stage of gaming in this country itself. Forget about Web3 gaming, just the gaming itself. And as collective awareness around gaming, COVID really played a strong role because the gaming came out from the kids' bedroom to main living room where everybody started understanding and playing together. I think what I was referring to, the DreamHack, entire families coming and looking at chess and playing other. When they're coming to play chess, they roam around and they see, oh, this is also a game, oh, this is also a game, or this is also a sport. I think such efforts, as we keep growing, will happen. If you are an entrepreneur, anyway, you have taken a call of 5, 7, 8 years of tapasya, so don't worry about it.
Also, I think one important factor is that when is it the parents feel that, okay, this is something not very bad, this is something good, is when they see the governments around them talking about it, promoting it, saying that this is a it's a future, this is a great thing to do. So today, if you look at it, the central government is talking about it and pushing it. The state governments are talking about it and pushing it. So everybody is talking about it. So that is where the awareness comes in. Okay, this is not bad. This is an option that everybody, I mean, my kids have. That makes a big difference because if the government is doing it, whether it's state or central, that means must be something right about it. So I think that has already started. Those discussions have started. Those messages have started. Parents are a little bit better now towards this.
And also, socially also, that perception and level of acceptance, that is changing quite a lot. As you would know, the Indian cricket team is sponsored by a gaming company. Tournaments are sponsored by gaming companies. So things have changed quite a lot since, particularly very dramatically over the last 4 or 5 years, I would say.
That's true.
Right, guys, thank you very much. Sir, thank you for your time. Thanks, Manvendra. Thank you.